Hi viewers, and today we're going to be doing something a bit different today, and I'm going to be showing you how to set up Phaser along with Jest and the asset management and actually create a asset loader to actually start us on our Phaser journey of creating games in so-called phaser.js. So the thing that I want to talk about is actually getting, well, I'm going to assume that you've already got Node set up because this doesn't use CDN, this is used as the Node framework. So I'm hoping you've already got Node set up here. I'm going to be using npm. I'm not going to be using yarn or anything like that, or brew. I'm going to be using standard npm installs, and this project is going to show you how to get Phaser installed, how to get the base project, because trying to install the base project from standard npm install didn't work for me, and it hasn't worked for a number of other people on the forums or out there in the web. So we're going to have a look at that, and also we're going to get the Jest framework, because Jest needs to be configured correctly in Webpack for it to work, and I'll be showing you how to actually test some parts of what we'll be doing with this loader in Jest, because there's always questions around games programming and unit testing and how you go about it. So the idea of this project is to, let me show you what I've got. So this is the example Phaser project you'll get downloaded with the boilerplate project that's sitting there that allows Webpack to be set up and Phaser to be set up itself. I'm looking at my cup of tea, I realise I haven't drunk it. Bear with me, let me just get a slurp of tea. Right, now I'm lubricated, I'll be able to start a game. So we'll get Phaser set up, and what we'll do is, this is your base project, and I will extend this to allow for a little load at the beginning that loads all our assets, and then there's a nice transition to the base project that's available from the download. Waffled a bit then, but hey ho. So let's get started. Okay, to start with, we'll need two sources. So we're looking at the actual npm package for the actual Phaser itself, and the project template to allow us to get all the Webpack goodness set up. So this is Visual Studio, which I'll be using for the IDE, and I've already opened up a new, I've called it tutorial. This is my new folder to actually do all the working. So I'm going to start with a fresh folder, so there's nothing that can get in the way of you, the viewers, in actually seeing what I'm doing. So you can see all the files that go in here will be all the files that are created from the actual installation process as we go along. Let's get a new terminal up. Terminal, new terminal. Here it is in all its glory. So it's a phase-free project template with ES6 support via Babel 7 and Webpack 4. That includes hot reloading for development and product ready builds. And this is the goodness we want to install first. Blah 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 blah. I'm going to use Git Desktop to actually clone this repo down. You can use the clone or download button here. Use a command line, whatever Git client you're using. So I'm just going to clone this and go to Git Desktop, my GitHub desktop, and I am going to just clone that repo down locally. So go to File, Clone Repository, paste in the URL, and tutorials, place in the directory, and hit clone and let that come down. And that's all done. We're all cloned and downloaded. So we're looking at tutorials. look at our base directory. So that's all cloned down now, and I'm just going to get rid of the Git directory there because I don't want it. So I just hit on the Git directory and deleted it. This is where I'll be creating my project. Now we need to actually load this project up and get it all running. So jump into here, jump into our Visual Studio. We can see our project files are now there, and we want to now install Phaser. So we jump to this address here, npm, yeah, that's right at the top, npm I phaser, or npm install phaser. So let's go and do that, npm install phaser. So that will install Phaser now, and we can actually load up our project and get running and see what our base project looks like. So our Phaser is installed, and now let's get our base project up and running. Have a look through. So oh yes, so we have to run npm install first to initiate the project. Just jump into there. That will initiate the project, install all the plugins that are needed, if any. So we'll allow that to run, and now we can use the npm start. And what will happen is that Webpack will be initiated, allowing it to open, and what will happen is you'll see that you'll be transferred over to your local host, and your base project will start ready for you to actually start doing your development, which will mean that Webpack's all installed, the hot loader is installed, and you can actually start on your journey as a Phaser developer. There we go, so that's all up and running, and now we can actually start installing some projects for the asset management. Now we're going to install the asset manager, and I use the Goldfire phaser-webpack-loader. Now the problem with asset management is that in Phaser we load everything on the preload of the actual scene itself. Now if you think about what's happening is that if you've got lots and lots of assets to load, then you actually have to do an import of each of the assets. So you would actually have to point to the say the image and define that as a variable, import that, and that gets very, very repetitive each time you're doing it, because you're actually looking at the asset, loading it in, finding the next asset, loading it in, etc., etc., and you could have hundreds of assets that you're loading in. But what this little preload asset manager does is actually allows you to supply a manifest file, and it will actually cycle through that manifest and load each of those assets in for you. And what I've done in this project is coupled that with a nice little visual loader and allow that to load in one scene and then throw you into the next scene with all your assets loaded. That's what I'm going to be showing you today. So it's worth reading the actual phaser-webpack-loader screen. It shows you that it supports assets that are 2x, 3x as well, so you can actually change the size of the assets for the different screen sizes that we want to use, and also it allows sprite sheets, atlases, audio, bitmap fonts, etc., etc., everything that's there. There's a little amendments to Webpack that you need to make in there, but it's nothing major. It's very easy to do. So we're going to get this installed. So let's find the command to install that, which is at the top. It should be just npm install. There we go. npm install phaser-webpack-loader --save. I'm just going to copy and paste that into terminal. Hit Control-C twice to actually cancel out our current phaser load that we had in there before our npm starts, because our hot loader is still running and our webpack web server is still running. So I'm going to just run the command npm install phaser-webpack-loader --save. And also you can see I've cd'd to my tutorial directory. Well, it's actually already there, because that's where actually our code originates from. So that's all installed now, and what we need to do is jump into Webpack, look at our base.js, and set up everything in here. Now, looking at this Webpack, what we need to do is look at our module's rules and our tests. We need to add a test in here for MP3, because that one's missing from there, so that will fail when we start actually adding MP3 assets. So that's on our file loader, which sits here. So add an MP3 in here, and we can add a WAV in here as well. So that's on our base file loader. Save that, and let's jump back to our phaser-webpack-loader page and have a look at what we got. So we've actually installed. We're going to jump to the manifest file in a minute, and also setting it up in code. And I'm just going to go down to the directory structure. So we need to specify this base directory in the webpack config, so we need to copy this resolve into there. So we just take a copy of that. And I'm just going to stick that above the module. So resolve there. That's all nicely done. So we should have an assets folder in our source folder. So we're looking here. We've already got an assets folder in here with our logo.png in there, so that's good. That's a good start. Let's save that. Let's just move down, and then we place all our assets in the following subdirectories. So we're assets, we have subdirectories in there called images, sprites, audio, and fonts. So let's create those directories in there as well. So we can go right click on the assets folder, go new folder, images, new folder, audio, sprites. Sprite or sprites? No, sprites. Yep. And new folder, fonts. So that's our folder set up there. We'll just double check we've got those namings correct. Fonts, audio, sprites, images. Fonts, audio, sprites, and images. So all good there. So that's that part set up. This is our assets file, our assets manifest. So we'll create one of those in there. Assets manifest.js. So I'll just copy that name, jump back into Visual Studio, right click on the source directory, source directory first, new file, and assets manifest.js. And in there, const assets manifest equals, and then what we want there. So const assets. Is it asset or assets? Asset. Manifest equals, and then whatever we want to place in there. And at the moment I'm going to be loading, you don't have to place these all in here if you're not using them all. So I'm going to be using at the moment just images and audio. So I need an array for images and an array for audio. And one for audio. That's all good. So that's all in there. What else do I need? Let's get some images in here, and I'm just going to create a number of images. We've already got a logo in here, so we'll move that into our images, which will now break our, oh no, because it's updated. I was going to say that was going to break our current project, but that's all in there now, so that's good. And what I'm going to do is fill the audio with some audio MP3s from the actual my hard drive itself. I've got a number of audio MP3s I'm going to pull in, and I'm going to do that. So look at cdev. Yep. Bear with me while I find my audios, assets, audio. So I've just got 0 to 10.mp3. You can call that whatever you want, but these will be the actual file name minus in the mp3 will be used as the ID for the actual files themselves. Okay. So I just copied and pasted those into there. So there they all are. So I'll be loading those in from the assets folder themselves. So that's all good. So that's in there. And now it's a case of getting those in. So I'm going to take these, I'm going to go right click, and I'm going to copy path, jump into the assets manifest, and there they all are. And I just want to get rid of this bit here. And I want to replace that, so I've just done a Control F on that to find and replace. I'm going to replace that with nothing. There we go. So all those are good, and I'll surround those with double quotes or single quotes, whatever your preference is. Now I would use the multi-selection cursor in here, but I do have a problem. Add cursor below, control down arrow. So if I did that, control alt down arrow, yeah, I won't do that. But it's a case of just placing those in there. Let's just place those in there quickly. Should add these on the final place, but there you go. There's quicker ways of doing this, but hey. So we take that and copy that into our audio. There we go. I'm just going to format the document. Let's get rid of that. So that's all in our audio there, and we want our logo PNG in here. And that should be the assets file set up. So that's the assets file set up, and now we'll actually add the preloader in there as well to get us started. And that's just going to be the base code from the actual example on the repository for the actual plugin itself. So we'll look at this preload example, which is here. So I'm going to copy this preload example into a separate file, and then we're going to start altering this preload example to allow it for us to actually get the loader in there. So I'm just going to jump it back into my Visual Studio and right click on source, go to new file, call this preload.js, and just dump that in there. So this is importing Webpack from phaser.webpack-loader. It's importing the assets from the asset manifest, and it exports defaults. Preload extends the phaser scene, so I'm going to have to import phaser in here as well. And this is the one that actually loads the assets themselves. And I like this this phaser-webpack-loader because it's got a nice this .load event in there, and also it's got another event that fires each time a file's load that I can hook into as well, so that's good. Oh yes, I've got to do import phaser from phaser in there. And that's our phaser library out. So that should be all done. I'm going to put a console log around here. Done loading. We need some other code in there. There should be a bit more. So this is if you want to know when each file is loaded using the optional callback. So this .loader.system.event on load file, and we can actually see what file loaded. And we will need this for our progress bar. So we added that in there as well. I'm going to place that on the crate as well. There we go. So that's in there now. So we should be loading all our files. So we should see all the files come in that we've placed in here in our assets. All our files should be console logged out the file name, and we also should be able to get the console.log done loading after we've actually finished loading them. So that is it. I will need an entry point from the preload.js, which I will actually do next. Okay, to find our entry point into this preload class, we have to actually instantiate it. Now, if we remember rightly, we have an index.js page here, which actually creates our phaser.game object, and it actually creates a scene for us in here. And what we're going to do is actually alter this to load, first of all, load our preloader, and then we're going to load the scene afterwards. So I'm going to actually remove quite a bit of this first of all. So I want to remove the, actually I'm going to just run them out. I'm going to run out the preload. I'm going to run out the function create as well. So don't need those for the time being. We'll need those for the next scene. And this scenes I will remove as well, because I am going to actually physically add the scenes myself rather than actually set them up in the config. So we've got our base starters here, and we don't need this logo, import logo image, because that will be all done via the assets, and plus we don't need it for this one either. So that's good. Let's push that down a bit. So I'm going to import my preload scene. So import preload from and / preload. So that's loaded in there. So I'll add the actual scene to the game.scene.add. We have to give it an index, so that's preload scene, I'm going to call it. Call it whatever you want. And we're going to do preload on there to instantiate the scene. The trouble with using other people's code and templates is that you end up getting inconsistency in like which quotes you're using, so I'm just going to change those there. And up here I've got double. Let's just quickly change those to single. Yes, I know I could have used the search replace, but I don't care. Cool. Oops. Come on. That's it. Right, that's all good. And now we need to start the scene. So game.scene.start, and then we pass in the ID of the scene itself. Preload scene. And that should start our scene for us, for any luck. So our entry point is in index.js, and let's go through this. So we import our phaser, we import the preload scene /preload, set up a simple config, start a new phaser game with the config, we add the preload scene, make sure that's spelled correctly, new preload, and the game.scene.start. We'll sort out this in a moment. So what should happen, we should get a blank screen, but in our console we should have some console login out. If we look at the preload.js, now let's have a look at it. I don't think we need import phaser because that's done at the beginning. Don't need that anymore because Webpack will deal with all that for us. And we've got phaser-webpack-loader in there. We've got the S. Is that the correct directory? // That's going back a directory, so let's make sure that's right. That's right. Since in our current directory, yep. Load a plugin, and we're pulling in the asset file. Got done loading. Before I change that, console.log done loading. The only thing I'm concerned about is the load order here, because I start the loader and we've got an event that's created. So this event should be before. It should be better. So we create an event on the loader and then start the loader. It's good. Just jump back to index.js. That's all good. Ooh, don't want that. That can go. Preload. The only other place I haven't looked at is the asset manager.js. So I've got a const in there, and to be an export default asset manifest. So actually export that out there as well. So that's good. Make sure that's saved. We should be all good. So that's compiling. Oh, let's open an 8080 this time. That's a bit different. Let's actually. Oh, there we have. Yeah, so we've got our file loaded and our done loading as well. So you can see all the files are coming through. The key that they've been given, and what Webpack has done is created them as MP3s there with this unique GUID for each of them. It's really good. That's all good. We've got our PNG in here as well. There it is. There's PNG. So if I run this again, let's clear the console off. Just run that. So it loads, and every file that's loaded, it's loaded in, and then done loading. So we're going to hook into this event for the file loaded and add that to our progress bar. That will drive our progress bar progress when we get to that point. Actually, I think that's quite a nice place to stop. Let me just double check something. I've gonna reintegrate this in. Just one thing I need to do, and that's what I'm going to do in the next part. So we'll start to reintegrate this and actually start getting our progress bar designed up and ready to implement and work in. So I think that's a quite nice place to stop, and I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. See you in part 2.